It's also using voice, isn't it? And I was really uncomfortable up until my experience with autistic radio, speaking out at meetings or putting my voice out there. But now I've got a microphone and I can edit what I say and I can put it out and then send it to them. I feel enabled by that, and I think that will include more people.
Being inclusive is the key thing. That's brilliant. That's what we were about, and that's what you're posing, and that's great. I mean, it's not off the cuff stuff either. It's stuff that can be done.
Yeah, we're doing it at the moment. We've done it in the past, and so there's little bits that could shortcut things for people.
It's a great thing about it, so I'm happy with it.
I think it's autistic to try and share and teach and pass on information. I just feel that's a need in a lot of us autistic people, is to not show off, but share.
Get the message out there.
You know?
Not obviously just the show. The show.
Mm.
Yeah, other minds know the perspective they're trying to adjust them from. That's to do with the failure of connection to other minds, and the way they're seeing something's in a different place to what the way you're seeing is. The drive to have whatever they're missing.
Like fixing it.
That gets into difficulty at the time, but fixing the other person, but it's fixing the communication gap. It's trying to make there be a shared connection.
It's reaching. It's reaching out, isn't it?
Commonality, yeah.
Yeah. I think often as autistic people, we can be scared that we're going to get knocked back. So we have to maintain the hope that by offering out information, there will be a percentage of people that enjoy it and get something from it and ignore the petty rejections of life, Back to the meeting. The other thing, I've contacted Eva Lynn, UK Health Radio, with a program called Autistic Voices. She's announced a new website, and the new website is a Podbean website, just like us. This is going to be great. There's more than one of us out there with autistic voices or autism voices or whatever, or spectrum voices. We're all the words that we use around our podcast and all the words she uses around her podcast are very close together. So people that listen to her stuff are going to listen to our stuff. People that listen to our stuff are going to listen to her stuff. So that's great. That really is good. The more, the merrier. Also, there's no music in the middle of her podcast. It's much easier to listen to than it was on UK Health Radio.
That's fine. I can understand the music and put some at the beginning, some at the end. It kind of helps a lot of people when they're making stuff. I'm just glad we don't do it.
Yeah, I need as much of a blank canvas so I can just concentrate on the words. But everyone has to do, that's our niche. This purity, isn't it? And it's great that we've got other intelligent autistic voices out there, female autistic voices. That's a good voice to have out there. I've contacted her and I've suggested that we do something together. I've asked her if she would speak with us about autism and audio, and autism and radio, and autism and podcasting. Because during lockdown, I followed what she was doing and her progression in that, as well as looking at her own therapy site. I think she will have something interesting for a podcast on that. I don't want to go straight to asking her about the things that people normally ask her about.
That's the big thing. It's like being different, being fresh, a different approach, rather than just asking the same thing other people would. What I mean is, if it's something different, it's something fairly new and unique.
A lot of the podcasts out there follow. Well, they had to at the beginning. They had to follow the normal sort of grounds of the normal, often brought up subjects. Transitions. Do I look autistic? Things like that. The main subjects that come up around and again. So that's been covered off. If we can, sometimes, obviously, we're going to have to keep thinking about those things and put our different spin on them. But if we can move a little bit further out, I think it'll be a good thing.
Absolutely. That's a good update. Thanks for that.
Any other business guys? Hi, Justin. Justin's going to be texting with us today.
Okay. There's nothing I can think of. That's actually two good updates. We're going to move on to a topic now, which is about the often ignored or often misunderstood conception about non-speaking autism, people with autism. Non-speaking autism all in as a subject. So, Liz, do you want to take this on?
Yeah, thanks, Harry. Yeah, I think Sabrina's post that we talked about earlier, the phrase presume incompetence and presumed incompetence is one that I found quite a lot while I've been reading and researching about the subject. I think a lot of value is placed on the ability to coordinate movements and the ability to speak. And I think when people can't speak or struggle with coordination and struggle with effecting physical movements, I'll explain a bit more about that later. I think there is the presumption that this person must be intellectually disabled. They must have some kind of developmental delay. And indeed, that's what we heard in the Inside Our Autistic Minds programme. It's the BBC documentary that we've been listening to the audio of it and commenting and discussing. When we were listening to the episode where Murray, who is a non-speaking autistic man, in his episode, Chris took the viewer on a journey.
Yes. Well, it did actually. I really felt that he was taking us somewhere because I've never been in contact with a non-speaking autistic person.
No, it was an eye opener. But I recall one of my comments about what he said. So what he said was, it's rare for Murray a non-speaking autistic person to not have an intellectual disability. And I thought, hang on, that sounds like bollocks. Not to be too blunt about it, but I just thought something about that doesn't seem right to me. So, and that's kind of what sparked my interest in finding out more about it. I don't want to go too much into the kind of neurobiology of this because I can get a little bit single-minded with that.
And so we're not experts. We're absolutely, what we're inquiring, aren't we? We're
yeah. But I do need to explain. I do need to explain a bit about the neurobiology of speech and language because that's how we understand why some people can't and don't speak. So there are two.
Sorry. Whoa, can't and don't speak.
Yeah,
that's going to shock some people because that's can't. Some people are unable to vocalize.
Yeah, I mean, if they listen, they will find out why.
Yeah. Go on.
Yeah. So there are two. From what I can tell, two main reasons why people either can't or don't speak. Anxiety is one that people may be able to understand. Sometimes people's anxiety can lead to situational mutism, which is the preferred term. Selective mutism implies that there is a choice. Situational mutism is a bit less prescriptive. I experience situational mutism in shutdowns and after meltdowns, and I am not able to speak. I learned a few things about myself and my motor coordination through this journey, so I won't sidetrack myself onto that yet. The other reason why, and this is why people can't speak, is apraxia. praxis is the Greek for movement.
Yep.
Dyspraxia is something that some of the listeners may be familiar with. Dyspraxia is challenges with motor control, so fine motor control or gross motor control.
Is that why I trip over my feet?
Yes, or maybe you just tied your shoelaces together. There are many reasons.
Okay.
But yes, no, it's quite likely that dyspraxia is part of that. I think we were on a meeting about some research, and the statistic 86% of autistic people have some kind of motor challenge came up, which I found very interesting.
I haven't found an autistic person who hasn't said that they have some kind of clumsiness or issue with spatial awareness. I haven't found anybody yet.
Yeah, no, I think that really needs to be part of the diagnostic criteria. Anyway, so dyspraxia is challenge with gross or fine motor, or a bit of both, spatial awareness. Apraxia is effectively an inability to control movement. So somebody can desire to pick up a pen, but the way that their brain works means that their muscles, their motor neurons, all of the bits that go together in this chain of, I want to pick that up, and then physically picking it up. There's a disconnect there. So,
sorry, I'm going to continue to. This is going to annoy you because I'm going to continue to interrupt.
Yeah.
Okay. I'd still want to keep us on this. This is an inability. This is not a.
It's not an I don't want to.
Yeah.
It's not a stubbornness.
Right.
It's a wiring issue in the brain, effectively.
It's a disconnect, you said.
Yeah.
So the way things are structured are that where nerves wouldn't, I'm thinking in metaphors, but nerves would be connected between the brain and the vocal cords or the whatever, and it's just not getting there.
Yes. So I came up with a little metaphor for this while I was in the woods earlier.
Go on.
So in a person without any praxis issues, and a person with normal motor control, it's a bit like the game Chinese Whispers, where you have a chain of people and you start off with a message, and that message is whispered down the line. And at the end of the line, in people with no motor impairment and no issues in that sense, the message is the same at the end of the line. In people with dyspraxia, the message gets changed. It's interpreted differently, and the outcome, that message at the end, is different. And that's what normally happens, actually, when you play Chinese Whispers in real life. In apraxia, there is one link that isn't communicating with the next bit in the chain, or maybe more than one link, but there is, so that chain isn't there. It's not finite. It's something that can be, with great effort, it must be said, it's something that can be worked on. And indeed, at least one of the non-speaking autistic people that I've read and listened to their testimony have said that since learning to use letterboards and learning to communicate, or rather being able to communicate, since being given that opportunity, they're actually finding they have better control over their motor function.
I'm going to interrupt with my ignorance again. Okay. So let me check. So what you're describing there to me is somebody that they start off from a position where something it's not joined together. It's not possible.
Mm-hmm.
But the plasticity of the brain, an autistic brain made in a different way with a different form and function from birth, because of the human brain's plasticity, it can sort of relearn something or relearn a form of something, or can be forced by intense effort by the person, which must be so taxing to kind of sometimes overcome. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Neuroplasticity is effectively that's what's happening.
Brain's relearning stuff or learning new stuff, but the person has to put enormous, like training an athlete.
Oh yeah, I would say it's probably actually more effort than that. My brother's done a 100-mile bike ride today. and
Yeah.
he'll probably, well, he won't be in the pub this afternoon because he's training. But, you know, I think being able to gain any control over your motor function where previously you haven't had any, I think that's
a
takes
different
more
order.
effort.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's in a much higher order.
Yeah. I get you.
There is one of the non-speaking autistic advocates that I've been, learning from and reading from, has actually been able to vocalize actually some words. It's his speaking is quite difficult to understand sometimes because the sounds that he's making, he's learning to make sounds, and the speed at which some of the sounds are made isn't like, it's not speech rhythm that we are used to hearing.
Yeah.
But it's quite amazing that he's been able to do that. I mean, it's just, I mean, I really like neurobiology, and I just think it's so fascinating what the brain can do when it's given the right support and people are empowered in the right way. It's
the environment, the opportunity.
I get really excited about this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I will try and calm down.
Well, remember, I'm the ignorant level. So I will keep asking. I will purposely ask you the stupid questions. Okay?
Yeah, no, please do. In fact, it's funny. Yeah, what we were talking about earlier in terms of word choice and the vocabulary we use. So I'm gonna probably not read out most of the notes I've made. But so
where can we go with this? Where can we go with this?
I'm just regrouping a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I think I've explained the reasons why some people can't or don't speak. So speech is a motor function. The actual
motor is movement.
Yeah. Language is a cognitive function. So language and the ability to in your head, come up with the words you want to say and the words you want to express is a cognitive function. Being able to actually say those words out loud is a motor function. And to a certain extent, being able to use a letterboard, which is it's exactly what it sounds. It is a board with all the letters of the alphabet, and you point at it. Now, some non-speaking people have challenges with their motor control to the point where they find it very difficult to actually physically point at the letter. There was one, I watched an incredibly informative webinar, and one of the examples that the presenter gave was of an autistic person who had, in fact, almost no control over their hand movements. And their eye gaze was also unreliable. Eye gaze is where you look at a letter on a letterboard. People with locked-in syndrome often communicate through eye movements. It's one of the few.
So you have a computer or something that can tell where the eye is looking, and then okay.
Yes, effectively.
If all you can move is an eye, the computer can find out where your eye is looking. Yeah,
and there's a whole book. There is a guy, I forget the name of the book. I'll try and find it out. But there is a guy who wrote a whole book that way. Now, the autistic person who had unreliable eye gaze and virtually no control over their hands had actually very good control over their feet. So this person used their toes and feet to use a letterboard. So sometimes
that's going to be stigmatizing, isn't it? That, you can't go down the pub and use a letterboard with your feet and ask for a pint. That's putting you in a different world, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, this is.
Maybe you can actually. I don't know.
There's no reason why you couldn't, but people are going to find it very strange because people are not used to communicating this way. People are used to hearing people's words come out of their mouth. And if somebody communicates in a different way, they're sort of seen as defective. It's this presumed incompetence thing again. And I think that presumption of incompetence, well, this person can't even pick that pen up. They can't follow a simple instruction. It's not that they can't follow a simple instruction. It's that they have motor challenges that make that virtually impossible for them to actually enact. It's not that they don't want to. It's not that they don't understand the instruction. It's that their body does not respond in the way that they want it to.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's a very isolating experience for people who are non-speaking.
I've already got over the prejudice that if you're non-speaking, you're stupid. You know, I've got I'm not even sure I've ever had that prejudice. I don't know. Maybe I did. I don't know. I've seen the beautiful things that have been written. And the thing that's fascinating me is the fact that the people that are non-speaking, when they communicate, the examples I've had are of really poetic, beautiful use of language. It's almost as though the sparsity or the condensedness of it is something that really appeals to me. It's somebody putting really a lot into the things that they do say.
Yeah, when communicating words takes so much effort, every word you say, every phrase is going to carry a lot more weight. I mean, I would be incredibly profound if I wasn't able to speak, but because I would just talk until someone tells me to shut up.
Yeah, we can throw words away. Yeah, we can drivel if we like. Yeah,
okay. And we can backtrack as well, because
and say, I'll make that. Yeah, scratch it.
Yeah.
I'll say it a different way, and maybe I didn't say it. Yeah, okay. And that's more.
There's a very fluid way of communicating, and we are used to that as humans. We're used to that speed of communication. We're used to actually not having a lot of time to think before, while someone's speaking,
or even thinking at all. A lot of it just comes out automatically.
Yeah, yeah. In fact, I'll get a bit kind of geeky with the neurobiology, but it effectively the brain, the production of sounds and the production of words becomes, as you learn to speak, it becomes an automatic thing, and you don't actually have to think about it anymore. It's something called chunking. So the brain puts together like sets of motor instructions, like to make the sound sh. All of those are chunks. Toothbrushing is a chunk. So you've got the toothbrush in your hand, and your brain just goes, okay, now I'm brushing my teeth. And eating is a chunk. You don't have to think about it.
Okay, right. Now I'm getting the idea. What you're saying is, once you've given the instruction, there's a whole load of other things that go with that. I'm going to clean my teeth, and then I forget about, I'm going to unscrew the lid of the toothpaste, put the toothpaste on the brush, blah, blah, blah. That's all happening automatically as soon as I thought of the idea of I'm going to clean my teeth. And then I can go off and think about someone else. So that chunk is done. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think eating is a really good way of thinking about it. When you put some food into your mouth, have you ever once put food into your mouth and not started chewing? Unless it was a conscious decision, like it's really nice chocolate and you're letting it melt.
It's automatic, isn't it?
You put food in your mouth and you start chewing. Your brain just does it. Yeah, it's got these motor functions kind of set, like presets.
Yeah, but you don't chew ice cream, do you? I think there are different settings for the different things, aren't there?
Well, yes, yeah. So there is, and I think that is kind of part of the reception of language and the production of it, is that it's all, so the type of chewing you do is in response to sensory, it's in response to input. So the words you say are in response to what's said to you. And people with apraxia can have a cognitive and intellectual response to something that's said, but not be able to actually get that out in words. So that's, yeah.
Can I just go back to something that Justin's saying here in the text here? Because he's repeated the words apraxia and dyspraxia, and I'm fairly certain from speaking to Justin before that he understands those. Human plasticity and neuroplasticity, he said. Do you want to make clear what those things mean?
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So neuroplasticity is the idea that your brain can change effectively, that you can learn things.
Moldable.
Yeah. So if you think about somebody who has, say, had a stroke and it was treated in time, and although some areas of the brain were damaged, 6 months down the line, their brain has managed to, and not necessarily repair the pathways that are damaged, but the brain has found a way around it.
Like the internet.
I was going to say like a bypass on a road, but yes, like the internet, I suppose.
The internet was designed for this. The internet was designed so that if a bit breaks in one place, there's a different way for the information to get around. And maybe the brain is a bit like that. It can grow.
Yeah.
They also didn't think that neurons were able to grow or grow back, but they can.
Yeah, that's sort of cutting edge, very recent sort of tech thing. Oh, let's not start talking about that because I'll get really distracted.
No, but it's all about the plasticity of the brain. And if we're talking about the non-speaking autistic world, there's two things I need to start from. And the first thing is I need to understand that somebody's cognition, somebody's thinking, somebody's thoughts, somebody's humanity is all happening there. But that it's not joined to a conventional way of expressing those thoughts. And I need to get my head around the weirdness and the oddness and the difference of speaking with somebody or conversing with somebody who is maybe pointing to something with their feet, or using a word, a letterboard, or using what are these other things that people use? It's all weird to me, and I have to get my head around it. You know,
this is something that I don't know a lot about, and this is something I'm gonna take a very slow dive with. AAC is what it's called. It's augmentative or alternative communication. So for some people that means typing, for some people that's pointing on a letterboard. Sometimes people are prompted on a letterboard because even though they want to point at a certain letter, their arm won't let them, or their body kind of goes, no, I'm not going to let you use the arm to point. So they have a communication partner who will maybe physically like touch their arm so that their arm goes, oh, right, okay, me. This is something that I need to learn more about it from people who actually use it. So I'm absorbing that knowledge slowly.
I think the way you're doing it is that you're learning from the people and not from the scientists. You're learning from people who are non-speaking. You're not going to Autism Speaks and asking them.
Absolutely not. No.
Well, no, I know that sounds stupid. I'm going to make that the point to anybody who might be listening to that's what we feel. We feel it should be directly from the people. Yeah.
I mean, the neuroscience bit, I did a sort of undergrad neuroscience. There's only a short course. I didn't do a degree in it, but I got a reasonably good working understanding of how the brain works, which has been, I think that knowledge base has made it a lot easier for me to understand this topic, because I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I get that. I know how that works. Or why.
And your own autism.
Yes. Yeah.
Because you're late diagnosed, aren't you?
Well, this is one of the very interesting things that I have learned about myself through learning about apraxia and non-speaking autism, or non-speaking in autism. Just while I remember, so the term non-verbal is one that we don't use that term anymore. It's kind of an outdated one.
Oh, really? Okay. So I've been offending people right from the off.
I don't think you've ever said non-verbal. I don't know.
Oh, haven't I? I said non-speaking. Okay.
Yeah, non-speaking. So non-verbal. Verbal is the Latin for words. So non-verbal is somebody who is without words. And
okay. So that sounds like you're without the word concept in your head.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
So the non-speaking community would prefer we use the term non-speaking instead of non-verbal. And I mean, I've certainly done it. I actually went and scanned back through all my blog entries to make sure that, because I know in the past I have said that I can go non-verbal sometimes. And I'm like, okay, now I know that that's what I'm experiencing is situational mutism. I'm not going non-verbal, although there are times when actually intellectually getting a thought together is difficult. Okay, now I know that I can use the right terminology. There's no shame in getting it wrong if you just getting it wrong because you didn't know. But I only know this stuff because I've been reading about it.
It's obviously a recent change and evolution, and it wasn't wrong at the time. It was the used term at the time. of using
Yes.
it. And I must say, I never heard it as having this Latin meaning in it. I just knew it as the term for non-speaking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no,
Folks'
it's
experiences come along and tell us that.
There we go. That's an incredibly important point, Morris.
Yeah.
You are somebody who is a mentor to me of somebody who has known about the autism world for a long time, and even yourself finds that it's difficult to keep up with all of the terminology.
Yes,
You know?
often my point, yes.
And I also find that a lot of autistic groups are expecting non-autistic people to keep up with the terminology that we're not even managing to keep up with ourselves.
Yeah,
Sorry.
well, that's why that's why I gave the update, because I thought, well, I know this. Let's share it, and then and I've said nonverbal. I have explained my experiences of situational mutism as going nonverbal. That's the language I had at the time. Now I have some different language, so I'll use that. It's just I'm just making a public service announcement about grammar. But what I've learned about my own experiences is I've been able to understand my situational mutism a bit more when I'm in a shutdown and in post meltdown phase. I can't talk. It's like that motor system is just offline for me. And something I've always been confused and fascinated in equal measure by is that when I'm in that same situation, the kind of in shutdown or post meltdown, I can't walk properly. So my legs I can only sort of take really short steps. It's almost like I'm an old computer and I'm rebooting in safe mode, and I'm not allowed access to the full ability to take long strides. And I'm like, that's the same thing. Those are both motor things, aren't they?
It's joined together.
Yeah. So one of the ways the dyspraxia affects me is that I actually must have. I've always known that I actually have to almost consciously put one foot in front of the other. I mean, that has become a chunk. I'm okay with it now, but I'm not very good at responding. I fall over my own feet. I do that. And it's like, okay, I understand now how much of my effort, my mental effort, is going into just moving and making my body do the things I want it to do. So that's been a bit of an eye opener, and as I've been able to link this completely strange but very fascinating inability to walk with the situational mutism and go, right, that's all motor stuff, and that's stuff that my brain finds a challenge, and if it doesn't have the processing power, those are the things that get put in safe mode or get shut down.
See, what I'm reading here is that the non-speaking community have an experience of autism that is so intense that they have an awful lot to teach me and us. But I'm really thinking about me. And that's honest, isn't it? Whenever you deal with anything to do with some people in what have conventionally been seen as in a profoundly disabled situation, there's always this concept of why are we interested? Why are we leaning towards it? Why are we asking? And it's a white savior. Are you coming in here to try and save us? And if it's honestly, I think you've got something to teach us, that makes more sense to me, If you've got, no, I don't want to come and save you. I want you to say some stuff that makes my life easier or explains to me better. It's selfish, yeah, but at least it's not in any way pitying or condescending.
Yeah, I mean, so what right. I have. So I've reached out to a few non-speaking people. One of them has got back to me, and we're going to have a Zoom chat. I'm not entirely sure exactly what form function that's going to take. I'm going to let him lead that. So we scheduled in something for Friday. I haven't actually scheduled an exact date, exact time rather. So we can talk about non-speaking and how non-speaking people can be involved in this project, because one of the I think one of the driving things for me is how to include non-speaking autistic people in the work that we do and in the community a bit more, because it sort of saddens me that there are people in our community that don't, I don't know how they feel. I don't know if they do feel excluded, but I feel like we are excluding them, not intentionally. Like it's not segregation. It's not an intentional keeping them separate, but it's just because we don't know and we've got no or very limited personal experience of what they're experiencing. I think it's really important that those of us who can speak kind of help to kind of get some spotlight, to get them included. I think it's really, really important.
I don't think there's any. I don't know. I don't think there's any onus on us to include people particularly. Honestly, I think the reason to do it is because we want to, and it's fascinating, and we think that they've got something, and we think that it's respectful. I don't.
I think that's sort of what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm not trying to explain your words back to you. I'm just trying to put it in my words or say it in a different way. People will pick up different things from you than different things from me.
Yeah.
To me, it's not this responsibility, or it's if people are willing to take part and teach us stuff, we would be incredibly grateful, because it will tell us more about being autistic and ourselves. And from what I can see, the little bits I've been exposed to, there's some incredibly bright people out there in the non-speaking world.
Yeah.
And the other point that you made is, I'm quite happy in my own world most of the time as an autistic person. Maybe that's even more intense for somebody that's out there. Maybe the frustration that we perceive is, more temporary in life than we don't know. I think a lot of the time we're a little bit like, non-autistic people trying to help us.
Yeah, I think a sentiment I've seen repeatedly expressed by people who are non-speaking that have been enabled to use some form of AAC is that their frustration with not being able to communicate has greatly eased. It's improved their mental health. They've always wanted to participate. They've always wanted to join in discussions with their family.
Okay.
They've always wanted to go to school, but they haven't been able to because people haven't been able to understand what that looks like for them.
And that's from them, not through the filter of charity or.
No. This is the testimony of non-speaking autistic people. I've in the last installment of my blog on it, I put some links, like the sort of the links that are a must read, and you'll that sentiment is there.
We must make sure that people go to
Actually Autistic Adult.
That's the one. Actually Autistic Adult. It's on our website as well. It's linked from autisticradio.com.
You can maybe put the part 3 out on the Facebook, so it's easy to get to, because I think
any way we can link from anywhere to anywhere. Find us in it. Find that blog in any way you can. Autistic Adult. I see it all the time, but the word that came to me was woman, because there's so much about it that is from a female perspective.
Well, I mean, let's
that's the useful thing about one of the useful things about your blog.
Yeah, I'm not. So I don't want to side rail this with a whole discussion on gender identity, but I don't identify as a woman or female. So it would be a non-binary. My experiences are of a female, because people see me and they go, "Oh, that's a woman," and they treat me as you treat a woman, because like that's different to how you treat a man, and I don't agree with that, and I don't see that anyway. But yeah, let's Well, that's a completely separate.
That's a new thing you can teach me about.
That's a different thing. Yes.
Yes, that's a new thing.
Yeah.
The more I get into this, the more I feel like some kind of Jeremy Clarkson figure rather than the woke person I thought I was beforehand.
You are definitely not Clarkson. No.
I'm a middle-aged man struggling with new stuff.
Well, yeah. Anyway. Let's not get sidetracked on that one. Yeah. So I think one of the good things we can do is help give non-speaking autistic people who might have been overlooked a kind of seat that we have at various tables. So insight. So insight into providing insight to the Autism Network, for example.
That is a responsibility there, though, isn't it?
Yeah, and non-speaking autistic people's thoughts on inside our autistic minds. I think it will give a bit more diversity of opinion and diversity of insight.
Actually, you're right.
Which I think is really important.
Yeah. Having said earlier, it's not our responsibility to do these things. In some ways, if we are involved in the research, if we are involved in advocacy, there's a responsibility as well, isn't it?
Yeah, I see it as part of. Oh God, I don't want to sound. Oh no, I was just going to say I don't want to sound all woke and like I'm, correcting the old man.
No, woke is great. Woke is politeness. Woke is being a gentleman.
Quite. I always thought woke was just not intentionally being an arsehole.
Yes, it is. It's a good thing. It's trying to find the right things in the right time for people. It's like an old-fashioned British gentleman being woke.
Yeah, so I think in terms of, I think it's often useful to recognise our own privilege, and that's a very woke phrase. I know that might be something people haven't sort of heard before, but
I'm steeped in privilege. I'm white and male.
Exactly, you've got more than I have. Share some of it, and that's what it's all. It's about sharing that and using it's the don't pull the ladder up after you thing. Like if you manage to get somewhere and you've managed to get people to listen to you, then the thing you do is you help other people get to that place. Like at Stormzy at Glastonbury, he did a set and he spent like 10 minutes name checking artists. That's 10 minutes where he could have been taking all the attention, but it's 10 minutes where he spent shouting out to other artists. And that is him recognizing his privilege. So that's kind of what I want to do. Yeah.
Liz?
Yes.
You promised to do a few minutes and you have done a marvellous presentation that is obviously now a podcast, whether you like it or not.
What, you mean I've managed to talk incessantly for 40? I'm shocked. Who knew?
Okay. Yeah. Well, there will be some of my words.
Right. I know it's 3 minutes to 7:30, so thanks to Boogie Nights for coming in. Thanks everyone for listening, and it's been a great discussion. This the non-speaking, non-verbal, the language, and all the language, but it was a very good topic, and thanks everyone for coming in, discussing, and everybody who's listened to us tonight as well. So this is Spectrum Voices Conversation. We're here every Sunday, 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. UK time, and 1 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, United States. So thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next week. Thank you all. And thank you, Liz.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night, all.